Been talking about it all morning long. It's back to school for Wichita students today. KSN's Amanda Aguilar is at Brooks Magnet Middle School, where students should be arriving soon for that first day of class. But I do want to show you what actually knocked out that power earlier today that took down some power lines. We have a good example right here in front of the Greenwood County Courthouse. You can see just how big this tree limb is if I bend over to pick it up. This is really, really heavy. It's things like this that took out power lines. But the good news is Westar's been on the scene here restoring the power to many people. We are live here in downtown, and as you can tell, the lights are back on. Many in the race, but for those not in a major political party, it can be hard gaining a little bit of momentum. Alec Gardner shows us who could be joining the Democrat and Republican and how they're making the race interesting. The usual fun atmosphere at the Kansas State Fair was put on hold yesterday morning as the Highway Patrol honored troopers who have fallen in the line of duty.
And it brings something else along with it, if you've noticed.
Mushrooms. You may have seen them in your yard or seen them in city parks, but one professional says they're not the ones that you'll want to eat. Sounds pretty obvious, right, Bo? Apparently not. KSN's Carly Wills shares that story with us new this morning. The death toll from Hurricane Michael continues to climb. Officials say the storm has killed at least 33 people across Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, and Virginia. Sounds like a lot of fun. KSN's Amanda Aguilar spoke to the event's organizer and joins us live now to explain the purpose of the Love Your Community event. Good morning again, Amanda. Now, from something too big to something that some folks say is too small in East Wichita, it's happening just south of Kellogg here at 143rd and Harry. There's a plan to put in mansions that cost from $75,000 to just $100,000 right there in this area, but it's not what you're thinking of. They're called micro mansions.
Yeah, I just got in talking about snowflakes.
Oh, snowflakes. Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's not even November yet.
Yeah, you were talking about now putting pants on or something, or wearing shorts.
I try to put shorts on every day, actually.
We hope.
Keeping the shorts on for as long as you can.
That's shorts on too.
Oh,
okay,
no.
that's how we know it's Friday.
A pair of goats in New York City. We're likely, I just blew out the microphone. We're headed for slaughter, but they are waking up an animal sanctuary this morning. New York City police responded to calls about goats on subway tracks above grounds on Monday. The shenanigans cost subway commuters 2 hours, but they saved their own lives. Way to go, guys. Welcome back, everyone. It is time for morning media on your Friday Eve, as we say around here. It's an all-Oklahoma morning media this morning. A rodeo bull got loose on the streets of OKC, where it chased people and rammed a police car. Take a look at this. Thank you, Ronell. Well, summer has come to an end for Wichita students, and today marks the first day back in the classroom for those in Wichita public schools. As the new school year begins, so do many changes within the district. That's right. KSN's Amanda Aguilar joins us live now to explain. Hey, good morning, Amanda. All right, expect to see more orange cones in West Wichita this weekend. Here we go again. Crews will shut down Kellogg and the I-235 interchange. You can see right there, KSN's Amanda Aguilar joins us live now with what you need to know. Good morning again, Amanda. Two people are behind bars accused of shooting a 4-year-old boy during a road rage incident. All right, thank you, Ronell. We will see you then. Well, if you haven't already got your flu shot, the time is now to get one because flu season is already here. Tense and realistic scenarios are what cadets are drilled on at the Kansas Law Enforcement Training Center. It prepares them to save lives, but also how to mentally prepare for a stressful career. To try and understand how a critical incident can affect an officer's mental health, I wanted to be put through some of the same scenarios where lives are on the line.
Hey, what's the deal? Come on, come on.
Put it down on the ground, and I need you to walk away. Thank you very much. Walk away from the gun with your hands up.
Is that intense or what?
It is intense. I mean, I know it's not real, but God, it's just like my heart's going like this right now.
Yeah, it's intense, isn't it?
The guns aren't real, but the emotions are. What I experienced is just a small taste of what future officers will go through in the 14-week course at the Kansas Law Enforcement Training Center.
Holster, holster, holster.
While these drills will prepare them what to do physically, it is the mental component that is just as important.
Exposure to stress. Obviously, it's not as much stress as could be, but it gives them some exposure to stress so that we can start working with them on how to suppress that stress.
It's a robbery. Give me all your money. Certainly intense, but still just a scenario, not the real thing. Law enforcement responding to an active shooter or involved in the shooting of a suspect impacts far more than the suspect and the officer.
Those officers involved in something like that incident, it's going to affect their family, it's going to affect their spouse, their children.
Sometimes the stress and anxiety of a critical incident becomes too much to take.
While we're on par to lose almost 140 officers to line of duty deaths this year, we're seeing almost equivalent numbers on officer suicide rates. So that is one of the main reasons we do want to try to teach officers how to manage and cope with their stresses.
All right, now
Part of the coping process starts with a debriefing after a critical incident.
Letting you kind of talk and vent would be an important part of that, because you need to express, hey, these are the things I was experiencing, these are the things that I was feeling, and we need to then reassure you that those are not unusual feelings.
Some officers will receive counseling or group therapy to deal with what they experienced.
It's part of what helps us try to work with the officers to make sure they're coping appropriately, and also that they're managing their thoughts and emotions in a way that isn't going to be detrimental to them personally or professionally.
Eyes, 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 eyes. Okay, here we go. Ready? Begin.
Robert, give me all your money. Give me all your money now.
Trainers say this critical incident education will give officers the confidence that what they learned in the classroom, they will be able to apply in real time, real life.
But there are other mental stressors officers can face. The consequences of using force. Will I get sued? Will I be charged criminally? Or even if the shooting is declared justified, how will I be viewed in the public eye? Some law enforcement officials believe it is those questions that could delay an officer's actions to protect themselves and also the public. Here for you in Wichita, Darren Dedo, KSN News 3. It's been more than 2 years since Heston was rocked by the unthinkable. It took just minutes for Chief Doug Schrader to shoot and kill the man who opened fire at Excel Industries. Now, years later, the process of healing through his faith continues for the chief and those who responded that day.
Harvey County 911.
I need some help.
Okay.
February 25th, 2016 changed the small town of Heston and the community of Harvey County. A suspect goes on a shooting spree, first opening fire on 3 vehicles before driving to his workplace, Excel Industries, where he took aim on his co-workers.
I remember everything from that day.
Police Chief Doug Schrader was sitting at his desk studying when he heard the calls of an active shooter.
Ironically, I was taking a grad class, just finishing up a test on workplace violence.
He left immediately and went directly to the plant.
So there's no delay. With a shot being fired every 4 seconds, you have to get to that threat. And that was on my mind. Cut across the ditch right there to enter in the doors, right over there.
He ditched his vehicle and ran in.
I did ask some people, where is he? What does he look like? I got a little bit of some limited information there.
Moments later, he came face to face with the gunman.
He started back into the building, and we met kind of in a administrative area in a hallway, and engaged each other at that point. I had to stop the threat. This guy was, he was not done shooting. He was not done killing people. So yeah, I had to stop the threat.
Chief Schrader did just that. 3 workers lost their lives that day and 14 people were wounded. Within hours, Schrader and the other first responders began the progress of dealing with the trauma of that day.
So for me, I met with a police chaplain that night yet, and really connected through prayer. And that was the start really of kind of the healing process.
Dealing with a critical incident can be extremely difficult for law enforcement and first responders. For Schrader and others, they relied on counseling through what is called a large critical incident stress debriefing.
It was important for us to get together, colleagues getting together to talk about things, and also to kind of set the stage of looking after each other.
Some 2 years later, after the Excel shooting, and the residents of Heston are still healing, along with its top cop.
I'm doing good. I have a wonderful support system around me. I feel like I always have been. I don't know how somebody could go through something like this and not have a faith to rely on.
Chief Schrader told me in response to the Excel shooting, law enforcement in Harvey County has turned its focus to educating the public about active shooter situations. They are working with an organization from Texas that specializes in critical incident training to prepare churches, offices, companies, and schools for the possibility of violence.